Smokes, cigars, Catholicism, and conversation. Let my prayer arise in thy sight as incense. I'm your host, Dustin Quick, and this is episode 24. I have a very special guest. Before I introduce him, however, I do have an exciting announcement to make. You know how I always mention Havana Palace, right? Every episode before we begin. Well, I have some good news, and I'm very happy about it, and that is Havana Palace is now my official sponsor of the Holy Smokes podcast. What this means is once a month, they will graciously give me a cigar, which I will feature on the show, tell you a little bit about it and its price point. So for my first go around, this is a Honduran house blend. Everything's Honduran, the wrapper, the filler, everything. It's made in-house. And it's a $7 price point. It's a beautiful, medium-bodied flavor, and that is courtesy of Havana Palace in Windsor, Ontario, here on Church Road. If you haven't already done so, please go to their Facebook page, Havana Palace, and give them a like. And let them know that you heard about Havana Palace from this podcast. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I have Brother Richard Carlucci with me, the founder of Catholic Audio Prayers. Before I let him introduce himself and tell you a little bit more about himself, I'm just going to read you a short little bio that he gave to me. So, as I said, Richard W. Carlucci is the founder of Catholic Audio Prayers. He is married and a stay-at-home father of 4. God bless him. He describes himself as a traditional Catholic at his core with a rich Catholic family history. Richard is skilled in computer science, information technology, and video and audio. He is an extrovert, trying to do God's divine will with every breath. And you can check out his site at catholicaudioprayers.space. All right, so Brother Richard, welcome to the show. Welcome to Holy Smokes. It's a pleasure to have you. I'm very honored and look forward to our time together tonight. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, Dustin. Thank you for having me on your show.
Glory to God. No problem, man. My pleasure. So, tell me a little bit, and our viewers, a little bit more about yourself. Where are you from? Where did you grow up? What was your home life like and your faith formation in your early years?
Sure, absolutely. Just really quick before I do that, I just wanted to give a shout out to someone very special to me. His name is Michael Dolce with MBD Studios. He actually allows me to have my website up and takes care of me in hosting. And I really appreciate that. And I'll get to that a little bit more later in the story. And my mother and sister for helping provide information and photos. So yeah, to answer your question, I'm from Port Chester, New York, Westchester County. And I am one of 6 children born alive, 9 total.
Wow.
It was an experience, ups and downs, and oh man, a roller coaster. Just trying to remember everything is a challenge because there was just so much substance. But I wouldn't want anything other than my life experience with my family. I am very grateful for my parents and my brothers and sisters because they sort of shaped me to who I am today.
Awesome. So you're a cradle Catholic, correct?
I am a cradle Catholic, yes.
So, we hear so many stories about cradle Catholics, right? They kind of they grow up, they kind of go through the motions, and once they get confirmed, it's kind of like a rite of passage, and they kind of go their own way or do their own thing after jumping through the hoops, as it were. How was your early years in Catholicism? Were you always devoted? What sort of influence did your family have in shaping your Catholic faith and your values?
Yeah. So basically, I was born into, I guess, an everyday normal Catholic family. We went to church, we said the rosary, and I, like you said, it's sort of like a rite of passage. And then there was a time in my life where, I guess when you're a teenager, I went from Catholic school to public school, and you kind of get sucked into the world, and you sort of forget about God. And sometimes you don't forget about him when you need something, but when you're sort of get that, it's like, okay, thanks. That's all I need from you. And
Right. Yeah.
yeah, and I sort of moved away. There was a point in my life where I sort of moved away, and obviously God wasn't done with me. Slowly but surely, he had plans for me, and he wanted to know. Well, he knew how I was going to respond, and I think he knew that I was going to receive graces from experiences, people that came into my life and into my family's life, and so on and so forth. I can actually talk a little bit about that, starting from the beginning, if your viewers would like to know a little bit about the story.
So what were some of those, or who were some of those influential figures?
So basically, when I was born, my mother named my middle name after her spiritual advisor. He was very close to my mom, and they talked often, which was an absolute grace to her. And his name was Father Walter Chisek. In 1929, Pope Pius XI established a training center in Rome to those who would volunteer to go and stop the annihilation of the church in Russia. And so supplying aid to the starving mind, body, and soul there. In 1928, Father volunteered to go to Russia. In 1941, Father was arrested under accusations of espionage. In 1942, was found guilty on a bogus confession. They sort of drugged him and made him confess something that wasn't true. It was one of his darkest moments in his life. He spent 23 years in prison, 15 years in the Gulag under hard labor. Now, for those people that don't know what the Gulag was, it was a prison in Siberia, and it was compared. It was so bad. It was compared to a sewer system that flushed with millions of peoples of waste and stuff like that. And he did it with a smile. This punishment created by man who united to God wills with every breath. And so before Father died, he wrote a tell-all book called it's called With God and Russia online. But it's actually it was a different name that he told my mother, and I actually forgot to change it. But I'm going to get back to your viewers on that. Maybe we'll leave some a comment down below, and I can get back to you on that. He passed away on December 8th, 1984, which was the Feast of Our Lady. And right now he's under consideration for beatification and canonization, and he is Servant of God, his current title.
Wow. And where was he from originally? Cizek. I'm trying to...
Chisek. He was originally born... I think he was born in Philadelphia, or either Philadelphia or Pennsylvania. So he was from here.
Okay.
So that was a very special moment in our lives, because I think through the grace of God, he sent somebody to my mother specifically, who needed that, how you say that, that spiritual boost to take on what I'm about to kind of share as I progress in my story as it relates to my sister.
Yes.
But saying that, I experienced all this as I was growing up, and the graces and blessings that I received was important as it kind of molded me to who I am. Between the ages of 3 and 8, I attended Corpus Christi, but I actually want to backtrack. That's Father Cizek.
Okay.
This is a picture of him when he was in the labor camp.
Wow.
And that was his book, With God in Russia. But then it's a different name. I wanna get back to you on that. So
Okay.
So between the ages of 3 and 8, I attended Corpus Christi in Port New York. It was a Salesian school founded by Don Bosco. That was also Father Cizek. So that's our church.
Beautiful. This is Corpus Christi?
This is Corpus Christi in Port Chester, New York. And at the time, Father Peter Rinaldi was the head of the parish.
Okay.
Father Rinaldi was there long before I was born. But what he did with the church is like beyond comprehension. Father Rinaldi was a famous priest for publicizing the shroud to Roman Catholics in America.
Okay.
Yeah, in 1940, he authored 7 books. The Man in the Shroud, Is This the Face of Christ? And another really popular book, I Saw the Holy Shroud, which is on Amazon, and it's got some really good reviews. I Saw the Holy Shroud. It's a great book. I recommend all your viewers reading it. He was the greatest authority on the shroud, and even brought a full-size replica of the shroud to Corpus Christi.
Oh, wow. That's incredible.
Yeah, you're seeing a lot of publicity and the shroud in the news today. And as I mentioned before, there's a connection with Divine Mercy, the image of Christ and the shroud. The faces match up like perfectly. Which is a really good thing for those people that have a hard time with accepting, Divine Mercy. So I think God sort of planted that seed, and you see the fruit of it now.
Right. Yeah.
He also brought a full-size marble Pieta, which is in the same. It's sort of like we have the church, and then we have a sanctuary on the side. Which is
wow.
It's just amazing to be there because it's lifelike, it's full size. He brought marble Stations of the Cross and marble statues of many kinds.
That's incredible. And he sort of orchestrated all this?
Yeah.
Wow, such beauty. I really appreciate you sharing these visuals with us. Like, viewers probably can guess by now, those who have been subscribed to my show, this is the first time I've had somebody to bring visuals on and take us on a journey to accompany the conversation. So this is wonderful. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. It's my pleasure. And the best of all is he filled the churches with relics. This is one of the most amazing things in the churches. What you're seeing is third, second, and first class relics, along with the ultimate relic, which is at the bottom here. That's a piece of the cross, the
true cross,
the actual cross.
Wow. Wow. I could just imagine praying in there and attending mass there. What an experience it would be.
Yeah. When you're younger and you go to church, when I bring my kids to church, when I'm not serving, they don't understand. But again, the seed is being planted.
Right.
So that's what was happening to me, is the seed was being planted there. Even though I didn't really know what's going on, it's important to be there because you don't know also, what children take in, and you also don't know the supernatural that's happening. God working the unseen. So, I'm very blessed to be a part of the parish and be born in Portchester. This holy man turned this church into a place of heaven. It was home for me, and it formed me. I visited these relics often, and I attribute them to kind of who I am today. And it's also worth mentioning that Father Rinaldi's uncle is Blessed Philip Rinaldi. So he's blessed in the church.
Wow.
And he's the successor of Saint Don Bosco.
Right. Wow. And all these people are connected to you somehow, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they're connected in a way where it was through the grace of God that they sort of came through my family's life and our life. God's got plans for everybody, and everybody has their specific role. You can't make a car if you have everybody making wheels. Someone's got to make, the windshield, and someone's got to make the doors, and someone's got to make, and eventually you get to where you want to be. You know what I mean? Get in that car and go right to heaven, so to speak.
For sure. Yeah.
So this is a huge mosaic picture in the church of his uncle with Don Bosco. And if you go up close, you can actually see all the little tiles. It's breathtaking. It's amazing.
Wow, indeed.
And so, which leads me to another familiar story, which is all connected. This family was very special to us and lived down the street from us. This man went to school with my oldest sister, and they shared a Catholic faith in common. He was thinking about becoming a priest. I think my sister knew he would. You can kind of you could almost feel someone's vocation or where they're might be headed. And so I'll show your viewers a clip of who this man is. Let's go to...
Yeah, hopefully we'll be able to hear it and everything goes well.
And if your viewers can't hear it, they can surely know who it is. So let's bring this man up.
Okay.
Dr. Philip Ney, N-E-Y, if you want to study more about all of this. Okay, let me see more questions that are coming in. Richard is talking about Father Peter Rinaldi, famous Salesian priest, expert on the Holy Shroud of Turin. I knew him very well. He was my first spiritual director when I was in high school. And he was a very saintly man, and his uncle was a successor of St. John Bosco as head of the Salesians, and is blessed himself in the church. But yeah, you, Father, very well. He basically taught me the spiritual life and nurtured my vocation. I went to him and I said, "Oh, I'm thinking of becoming a priest," and he had never mentioned anything about it to me. And then he said, "I was praying for that. I was praying for that."
So that is Father Frank Pavone, who happened to live down the street from us. And so in 1988, Father Frank did his first Mass at Corpus Christi, which is right there.
There he is, yeah.
The good old days. And the reason I wanted to show that clip of him is because it made that connection with Father Rinaldi, who was there, who was just a grace from God, and which obviously led Father Frank to his ultimate decision. And so Father Frank was a regular over the house for rosary nights, random talks with my mother, and to see my sisters. and I used to wait in the window for him because he used to bring a bag of lollipops when I was a child. And I always used to look forward to the bag of lollipops. And he brought with him this joy and this love for God and for family and for children. Just every time he came over, he had a bag. He never forgot. I mean, that the little things in life, you know,
Yeah.
he's very cognizant of how somebody else felt and wondered, you know, I'm going over someone's house. I bet you he's waiting for that bag of lollipops. It's going to bring him joy. He had this connection with children. It's a no wonder he is the director for national director for pro-life.
Yeah.
I truly believe that these holy men were drawn through the grace of God, and through the grace of God, we were drawn to them. And so, you know, like an unseen magnet, the main drawing force, I believe, was one of my sisters, and the choir of angels that sort of accompanied her throughout her whole life. And so I wasn't sure if you wanted to kind of throw some questions in there, or if...
Well, yeah, I want to know more about your sister and her spirituality, and how did she impact like the rest of your family or your immediate circle? Because the way you talk about her, she really seems like she really had some gifts.
Yeah. God, I could have never done what she did. She was just so special.
You say was, is she not with us anymore?
I'll what I'll do is I'll share a private story of the experience. And so, yeah, you're right. She was a very special. And what I'd like to do differently is sort of paraphrase from a letter from my mom as I kind of go on with the story. And so I think it's important. So I'm gonna read something from her. And so this is my mom.
Okay.
My daughter was born in 1971. We didn't know anything was wrong with her until she was about 11 months. She was diagnosed with cerebral palsy, a brain damage. And at the age of 21, we decided to see a geneticist. Took a test, and the doctor said it was a chromosome disorder, which meant that it was just an unfortunate situation. You know, not much of the condition was known at the time. She suffered under, you know, new drug trials and the sheer struggle of her condition. Her condition caused her much suffering. There was one particular suffering she had when she was up for 3 days and 3 nights all the time, and she went through withdrawal and she couldn't close her eyes. We had to hook her up with an IV, and which was a great suffering in itself. And every day there was something, because she was so complex and because no one knew or understood her condition. And that's why my family prayed a lot that God would help us. And I think there is a reason why, through the grace of God, it's all connected, where all of these holy men happen to be coming through our life, and also the graces that my sister was also the graces of God was pouring out through her to these men also. You know, it was very difficult for my mom, because she was always taking care of a sick child, and she didn't give us the intention that some moms that don't have that responsibility, they have the time to give their kids attention.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I find that in my own family too, is when you have a special needs child, you know, you have to do your best to take care of them, and some of their brothers and sisters sort of get the short end of the stick.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not what we want, but we can only do so much, and we can't do it without God. And that's why, for me, this was all sort of, I'll just keep it at a grace of God, because I don't want to say predestined, because we still choose in life. We have free will to choose. We choose the things we do.
Yes.
So as I matured, I saw the graces that God was pouring out through my sister. I saw my parents' complete life of sacrifice, and I knew that this was the way I wanted to be in my own life. My mother also wanted to state that many souls were saved, many creations coming out of her little room, as she often stayed quiet. So when you were in her room, you felt like there was something more there. It wasn't like all the other rooms. You know, it's almost like you stepping through a portal or something. I can't explain it. I will mention this. I can't name the source for their protection, but when they were over our house, he actually saw choirs of angels in her room.
Wow.
So, you know, fast forwarding a bit, I wanted, for a long time, I wanted to become a priest. That was, I wanted to be a priest because of Father Frank Pavone and how he went about his life, and that's what I wanted to be when I was younger. Then I realized that maybe it was marriage that I wanted, and so I got to a point in my life where I prayed. I was having a hard time finding the right person, like, you know, so many people do, and I wanted to know if this is what God wanted for me. So I prayed a 40-day novena to Our Lady for marriage. On the day it ended, I met my wife.
Wow, that's incredible.
Since that moment, we had 4 kids. One of them that has autism, and during that time, my mother called me up. I was at the house, and she said my sister was in the hospital, and there's not a lot of time left. And so I told my wife, and she says, go. So I got my car. I drove down from Connecticut, upstate Connecticut, to lower Connecticut, Greenwich, which is next to Port Chester. And I started walking my way up to the room, and I couldn't prepare myself for what I was going to experience. I walked in, and everybody was there. We never witnessed anything like this in our family. And I broke down. She was suffering more than ever before. Doctors had her on morphine. She was having trouble breathing. When you hear somebody like that, it really shatters your heart. Doctors didn't understand why and how she was still holding on. And we would sort of pass the time and share stories. And then we would kind of turn our attention back to her and see where this was headed. Every time we thought her time was up, she would defy it. And there came a point where we saw her pattern change, and her breaths were getting spaced out. And she took her last breath. And never really seen anything like that. I have a family member who witnessed her father pass away. And over time, she kind of shared that experience with me, and you really can't put it into words. We broke down. It got pretty bad for me. I was sort of kind of uncontrollable. I don't like to mention this, but I had to go into the bathroom because I was just so devastated. I came out and my sister said, "Oh my God, it's Our Lady's birthday." And at that moment, you knew that it was divine providence. We knew why my sister was holding out.
Oh my goodness.
And I make this connection. You associate, you hear often Our Lady and roses.
Yes.
And so I just find it so amazing that my sister's name was Rosemary.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
So I just God is so amazing. Like, she wanted my sister, and she got her. And so at that point, she was. At that point, we believed that she was in the beatific vision of God because she was sinless. Of course, not from original sin, but she was incapable of committing a sin through her whole life of suffering. And with every breath she took, she said her yes, her fiat. And wanted to share something from my mother that happened afterwards, that sort of completes the miraculous story that leads me to where I am today. And so she sent this to me and sort of corrected a few things that I had previously mentioned, but it's pretty much the same. So I'm going to read you and your audience, your viewers, this. When we had left, the man picked her up at 4 a.m. and held her through the morning in his arms. He was really touched by her littleness and how she was so beautiful and radiant, and he didn't want to leave her. Then his boss came down and asked who she was. he said that, they were looking for a coffin. He said, well, with that princess, she gets the best. So they gave her the best, most beautiful coffin they had. As we arrived at the church, my brother's high school friend, who was a police officer, he was working in the street that day, and he saw my brother. And he asked who passed away. He said, my sister. And he said, well, your sister's going to have a police escort.
Wow. Wow.
Which was it was very touching for us.
Absolutely.
My mother wanted to share that. This was so beautiful and quick. It all seemed to happen so fast. Just one thing after the other, and then all done by God. And my mom wanted to say how proud she is of her children because of the effects of a mother that has to take care of a special needs child and not being able to give the rest of her children the attention that she wanted to give them. But God was always there. And for 46 years, especially the suffering that we experienced strengthened us, and through God's grace, we endured it. Then from that moment on, changed my life. I had 2 more children, like I have 4. God's the center of my life. At least I try very hard. I'm not perfect. I fail often. I grew up in the Novus Order Mass. That's all I knew. I went to Latin Mass by accident, and I knew that's where God was calling me to be.
Right.
And so that I decided to start serving Mass and trying to also bring my kids to Mass as well. And so I now understand a little bit of what a parent goes through, and I sympathize with all of the parents out there who have so much on their plate with special needs or multiple children. You try your best to be in 4 places at once, and it's sort of like impossible, but you do your best. But I think whether it's divine providence or God's divine plan, or this was destined, or how you want to look at it, this all happened for a reason. Because little did I know that I was going to have a special needs child.
Yeah.
And my brothers and sisters have children with needs too. And
Right.
so God was like, okay, you and you and you and you. I'm choosing you because you're the best person for it. And I want you to bear your cross for me. I want you to pick up your cross and follow me. And so that's pretty much what I've learned, which molded me and brought me to where I am today with Catholic audio prayers as a sort of second part to my story. So I'll take a break so you can maybe ask some questions. And
wow. I didn't expect any of that. First of all,
that was my sister, by the way. I was so enveloped in the story, I forgot to do the slideshow. I apologize to your audience.
So was she she had cerebral palsy? Was she expressive? Was she mobile?
My sister wasn't mobile. She couldn't walk. She couldn't talk. She couldn't eat on her own. She was equivalent to a 6-month-old
Oh Lord.
You literally had to take care of her like a 6-month-old. And imagine this, and those parents who have special needs understand. Imagine having to take care of a 6-month-old that never grows up, that has to stay
Yeah.
6 months old year after year after year after year. Because when I had children, it was hard. And then they grew out of it, where I started to get some of my freedom back.
Yeah.
But with special needs child, and there's different levels, it's the ultimate pro-life call, the ultimate cross, because what you're giving your fiat to God, and you're saying, yes, Lord, I will take care of this child every day for the rest of my life, knowing that I'm never going to have a break from this. And so I can't imagine. I still don't know how my parents did it. My father too. My father was there every second, tried to be there every second, support my mom. We tried to be there, my brothers and sisters, the best we can. Very loving family. And, only now do I understand the even the slightest extent of not looking forward to, oh man, she's going to turn 7 and I get some freedom. She could take care of herself. No, that wasn't to be so for my mom and my father. So,
man, look, man, I got to say a few things. First of all, I'm like holding back tears, and I have chills, and I'll tell you why. Yes, for anybody, it's an incredible, moving story, and I can't begin to imagine the pain. So let me start off by saying I'm terribly, terribly sorry for your loss, and I wasn't expecting this, my brother, but listen, I now have an instant connection to you, your family, and your sister, and I'll tell you why. Believe it or not, I was born 2 pounds. I had a seizure, and I ended up having cerebral palsy. The doctors didn't know what it was at first. Believe it or not, I have cerebral palsy. And doctors asked my mom, like, do you want to have an abortion? Do you want to have a DNC? Talk about the pro-life thing again, right? She said no. So knowing full well what was coming down the pipe and what she might have to do for the rest of her life. So first of all, I wasn't supposed to live. Second of all, if I lived, I was supposed to be a vegetable for the rest of my life. Pardon the terminology, but that's what it was. And they said, "Oh, he'll never walk. He'll need a wheelchair." And so, my parents, you want to talk about parental sacrifice? They spared no expense. I'm talking. I can't even count the number of intense surgeries I had, the rehab, and I got to a point to where I made the high school basketball team one year. Like, I strove so hard, to be normal, to be like the other kids, right? And I ended up getting a master's degree. I ended up living in Japan. So all the things that people thought were impossible for someone with cerebral palsy, like, God graced me to be able to accomplish them. And I couldn't have done it without my parents. And, you guys are just such a powerful witness of the reality of redemptive suffering, which is something in our Catholic faith that is truly like the pearl of great price. So I can only imagine, with your sister's suffering, how many souls are released from purgatory, how many souls have seen a miraculous conversion. So I know it's hard, like, to have somebody in your family that you witness day after day living like this and suffering, but just imagine in the spiritual realm, all the wonders that God was able to do through her suffering united to the cross. So I just want to say that I find an instant connection, a deeper connection than I could have imagined with you and your family and your sister, and for obvious reasons. So thank you for sharing that heartfelt testimony, man. That was tough.
Dustin, thank you so much for allowing me to share that story to you and your audience. I am very grateful that you shared that with me. I had no idea, and I would never known just by seeing you. Your mother is an inspiration to all those women out there who are considering murdering their children because they're afraid of the cross. And you don't know what God's plans are for each person. We should not get in the way of that. And I'm so grateful that you allowed me to come on your show, because if things were different, if your mother made a different decision, people wouldn't be hearing my voice on your show right now, and all the other people that you have, what's the right word I'm looking for, Lord? Inspired and given hope just by being yourself, just by being you, just by having your condition in itself. And now that maybe I think about it, and this might be stretching it a little bit, but I know my sister's a saint in heaven. It may not be written in the church, but I think she's got a hand in what's going on with my apostolate with Catholic audio prayers. And I believe that God wants her story, my family's story, to be known, to be heard, because it has nothing to do with me. I just so happen to be her brother. But in itself, it's a voice that needs to be heard and give hope. And on top of it, I don't know, I'm pretty confident that whatever she asks in heaven, as long as it's according to God's will, God will not say, Our Lady will not say no. And so I think she's got a hand in us meeting.
Absolutely.
And if this Catholic audio prayers happens to spread, like I hope it does, then let it be done according to what God wants. If he doesn't, then whatever God wants. And so coming from that side of the story is now a more happy and joyous part of the story, which is the start of the journey to Catholic audio prayers.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Yeah, I want to know about this. I want to know how did you get, first of all, before you actually put the pieces in place, how did you get the idea? Like, how did the inspiration come to you?
So the inspiration came from Mother Angelica. I often said her rosary, her audio rosary, and I enjoyed the music, the background music, just as much as her saying the rosary. And it was also the supporting nuns would sing in the background too. So it was really nice hearing her, then them, then the background music. There were certain spots in her rosary that I loved so much that I wish it would just play all the time. And
yeah.
when it's Wednesday and I want to go to a specific rosary, I'm like, man, I wish it was Tuesday, because I really like that background song.
Yeah.
But as I listened to these rosaries, I realized For at least me, the music was sort of hard to hear, and not because of volume, but because of the way it was recorded. I think it was recorded on the older side.
Yeah.
Probably, I want to say maybe in the late 90s, the technology gets better, music gets more crisp and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I said, let me see if I can take her voice with the singing nuns and paste a song that's just as beautiful and put it together for my own personal use. And I spent a few days doing it, and I was not happy with the results at all. It was almost like Mother was saying, I put that song there for a reason. Don't you go messing with it. So I was like, all right, no problem. So yeah, that's when I thought, let me see if I can record my own Rosie with my own voice. I don't know how it's going to come out. But it doesn't matter because no one else is listening to it. It's just for me. So
Yeah.
I got nothing to lose. So I recorded the rosary part, the vocal part for me, and I listened to it. And I have to say, I'm pretty, I really do nitpick. And I'm really hard on myself, and I'm really, what's the word I'm looking for?
Well, you're a perfectionist, right?
Yeah, well, I'm trying to get away from being a perfectionist and trying to not get in the way of God. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I get in his way. So I'm trying to like back off. So being a perfectionist, I'm very critical of myself. So I'm learning to kind of just go with the river instead of trying to fight it.
Right.
That's why I think that this is God's calling. So it wasn't too bad. Then the next part was finding the right music to go behind it. So I went on YouTube. I started looking for music, and there was a lot of nice music, singing monks and Gregorian chanting, and just, man, I was like, how am I going to know what to pick and what to put on here? And then that's when it popped up on my screen. I go, oh, who's this? They're nuns. They look like they're a monastery. I liked Mother Angelica's nuns, so this might be something worth listening to.
Yeah.
And I hit play, and I listened to it, and it was over before you knew it.
Yeah.
I was bawling, crying.
Wow.
It was so beautiful. I said, okay, Lord, this is it. This is the music that I'm going to put to it. I put it together, and it sounded really good. I know it sounded really good when I can actually listen to it myself in my own car on my way to church or work or something like that. So then I said, okay, let me see if I can pass this out. Maybe somebody else would like it. So I said, let me just pass it out to a couple of friends first to kind of see what they think. And they liked it. And that's when I thought, let me contact them and get permission.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did. I contacted Sister Superior, and a week went by. I didn't hear anything. Another week went by. Didn't hear anything. At that point, I'm just like, well, this is what you want, Lord. It's just for personal use. And I'll admit, I was kind of ticked off. I was like, I was disappointed. I was like, I want to do something special with my life. I want to, it's great. I serve on the altar as an acolyte during Latin Mass, but I want it, and that's grand in itself. But
Sure.
I love God more than I ever did now. I want to do more. I want to do more. So, and I want to make sure it's His will, not mine. So about another week or two passed, and I got a phone call. Now, I wasn't expecting it. I already thought that this was done with. And it was Mother Superior on the phone. I was actually taking care of my kids, and I said hello, and she says, hello, Richard. and I knew instantly by her voice who it was. I
Yeah.
go, oh my God. I go, oh my God, this is her. This is her. And then all these emotions and all these thoughts. So what is she going to ask me? What is she going to say? Is she going to turn me down? She's going to say, no, thank you. I'm not interested. And so we had a long talk, and she gave me her yes. She said, yes, I can use this music because what she thought was what I'm doing is wonderful, putting them to rosaries and chaplets.
Praise God.
Yeah, God is great.
Wow.
Even to the point of letting me know which songs would go best with which albums.
Yeah.
Divine Mercy and the Two Hearts the Chaplet of the Two Hearts, and the traditional rosary, and so on and so forth. And I thought that was great. And she even mentioned that eventually they're going to get back to recording again, and I can't wait to hear that. So I started putting the music on YouTube. The traditional rosary that I made, and then from that moment on, when I got the okay from them, it sort of propelled me into this ultimate goal of doing something no one's ever done, making an audio rosaries and chaplets of every single kind in one place. I knew, at least to my knowledge, no one has done, or at least finished or completed it. I vaguely remember somebody mentioning that there was somebody out there that did it, but not to this extent or this sort of detail.
Yeah, you got the whole catalog.
Yeah, library.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that there's going to be something for everybody there. So as I started making these albums, I put them on YouTube, and then I put them on Facebook. Facebook said, no. They shut me down. So I didn't bother arguing. I wasn't going to waste time. I was trying to do, okay, whatever you want, God. I'm not going to waste time fighting the river. I'm going to just go with it. And so that's when I decided to make my own website. And this is where it becomes very special, because there's a special person out there. His name is Mike Dolce with MBD Studios. I used to work with him growing up out of Stamford, Connecticut. And I said, I want to create a website, but I'm sort of don't really have the means for it. So he says, as long as you can make it, I'll give you what you need, and I'll even host it for you for free. So being the computer software guru that I am, I figured it out in like a day. And then I put something together, and he said he was impressed, which really touched my heart. He's like, I actually might be able to use you to work on my sites and stuff like that. So
there you go.
He's still taking care of me to this day. If this takes off through God's grace, I'm going to sort of take care of them and all those who help me. So I want everybody who's listening who needs a website created, because he's not just somebody who creates a website. He's somebody special who creates amazing websites. These are like top class like websites, like top of the big, huge corporations and investment firms and stuff like that.
No kidding.
So his information is at the bottom of my website. I wasn't sure if you wanted to maybe pull up the website just to kind of give people a view of what it looks like.
Are you able to do that?
Yeah, I think so. Let me try. Let me do this.
Maybe we could you could play a sample for us of like a piece of the rosary or a chaplet or something.
Sure. Let me go to. I'm actually streaming us on our website, so we might see. All right, so share. I hope this is it. I'm gonna look dumb if it's not.
Okay.
Is that it?
I do see. Okay, let me.
We're doing this for the first time, actually sharing images as we go along in video and stuff. So
That's right.
So I just want to say Mike's information is right down here below. Definitely go give him a shout out. He creates amazing websites. So we can go to the rosary store, and I'll play a sample for you and for your audience of a rosary that's sort of most special to me. This was my first rosary that I did because I have this devotion out to the Holy Souls in Purgatory. I felt like an urgent call to help save them because they can't save themselves. So I'll play a little short sample.
Yeah, great. I'm not getting anything on my end. Richard, are you hearing that okay?
I'm actually hearing it through my speaker. Let's pause this. You know what? Because I'm new to the because I'm familiar with the program for podcasting. That's a little different than yours. I wouldn't know how to configure that. But what I can tell you and your audience is check out the website. We have samples there. Everybody can sample all of the different albums. And there's, for a small donation, you can have the full track. And there are different options where you can donations go to help the apostolate and my family, and they also send them off to the Benedictines of Mary, Queen of Apostles, which are, let's see, right. This is their website coming up. Okay, it doesn't load because I'm in edit mode.
Oh, okay.
That's okay. The Benedictines of Mary, Queen of Apostles, definitely support them and check them out. If it wasn't for them, this apostate wouldn't be what it is now. And so we have our storefront, which is Chaplets and Rosaries. You can contact us, past podcasts. We have site donations and a special fundraiser that we're putting into place. And we also have friends of Catholic Audio Prayers, other apostate stores that I invite people to come in. I do for free to kind of give them an avenue, give people an avenue to see what else is out there and stuff like that. So yeah.
Awesome. So if people want to contact you, they can just go right to the website.
Yeah, they can go right to the website. There's a little mail icon on the top, and then there's also a contact me form in news and information.
Yeah, and I was perusing the website and listening to some samples, and it is absolutely beautiful. I love the work that you're doing, and and the thing is, like a lot of people struggle at certain points in their prayer life, how to get more focused, how to draw away distractions, and I feel like the addition of that sacred music really is a means to help draw you into the prayer and kind of drown out distractions. So I really like what you're doing. It's top quality stuff.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. This is going to be well worth it. The goal is to, at the very least, get people praying again, just even if it's a nudge and they go back to a traditional way of praying with the actual rosary beads in their hands. But also it gives them the option to pray the rosary or the chaplet of their choice, because when we're done, we're going to have all of them in their car, on their way to work, jogging, at home, when the kids are screaming in your ear like mine are sometimes. You give it to them, give people a gift. Maybe pray in your parish, or give your priest a copy as a gift, or I mean, it's endless. I think, now that I think about it, maybe God, I'm being called to do this and to bring attention to this. It's because it's possible he's saying, okay, no more excuses. Now you could say and pray anywhere at any time, no matter what you're doing. So whether you do it the traditional way or you're doing it in your car or when you're walking, or even if you start playing it and listen to the first 3 minutes and then you have to stop to take care of your kids and then continue on later in the day, as long as you get it done, then that is just as good, because you're doing God's work twice. You're praying the rosary and you're taking care of God's children.
That's right. And it shows actually just how incarnational our faith is, that we can pray at any time, right? And even if it's broken up, or God can help us make means of the most modern technology to do like the most ancient form of prayer, and it could be just as efficacious, and maybe even more so because of the elements that you've added. So yeah, that's absolutely wonderful. And as you were, it's funny because you took the words out of my mouth. You said there was no excuses, and I was thinking that exact same thing. Now, thanks to you, people have no excuse, and they can't say, "Well, I don't have time to pray." You can squeeze it in literally anywhere on your way to work, even if you're at the gym.
Yeah, now I painted a target on my back now, so
right. If working out's your thing, you can just. So that's awesome. I'm so glad that you came on, Richard. Did you have any parting thoughts for us?
I usually don't think about this. I usually kind of just go with whatever comes to me. I guess what I could say is, with everything that's going on in the world today, it's not a coincidence that things are changing no matter where you live. And the thing, what doesn't change is God and his love for us. That doesn't change. The world will come and pass, but God is forever. And because God is forever, we need to go to him because it doesn't change. He gives us the same love all the time, whereas we can't get that with anyone else because it's always, because we're not perfect. We don't have the ability to do that.
Right.
And people, and I'm seeing that people are waking up in their own way. I think there is an awakening of some sort. I can't put my finger on it, but you could definitely feel it in the air now, as if though you can grab it. It's actually an object. Something is happening.
Yeah.
And I would say now is the time, throughout all of history, now is the time to take up the armor of God, okay? Put it on, okay? In case something that opposes God comes your way. Live the sacraments, honor the sacraments, fulfill the sacraments, and take one day at a time. Everyone is not going to escape the cross that's presented to them. They can choose not to carry it, or they can choose to carry it. The cross was good enough for Jesus. It should be good enough for you.
Amen, brother. And we did have a comment from a viewer, Saint Charbel, miracle worker, who's commented on my live chats in the past. I do appreciate that. Hello, brother. So he says, I put on Catholic Gregorian chants to get myself into the 1 hour devotion to God daily, at night on low, so the kids don't wake up. It is essential to create that change in my mindset before the rosary. Well, now, brother, you can go to Richard's website, and you have a whole wealth of beautiful prayer aids. So yeah, make sure you dive in and check that out. And we appreciate your comment.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
That's great.
Well, brother, again, this has been an absolute delight. And again, may your sister's memory be eternal. Thank you for being such a powerful witness to redemptive suffering, to sacrifice, and your family as well, and fatherhood. As you were talking about, you having a special needs child yourself, or kid home, I got to confess, like, there's times when I should be such a better father than I am. And of course, I ask St. Joseph for his help. But I can look at someone, pray for us. I can look at someone like you, and when I'm facing difficult moments and I'm getting impatient or whatever the case may be, I could just remember you and how you do things, and I think it'll help kick me in the butt and put me on the straight path again. So I'm really, really grateful for our friendship, our new friendship, and I'm sure we could do this again at some point.
Absolutely. Thanks be to God. And I reciprocate the same to you. What you do and what you go through, what you went through, and God has his own plan for you, and just as important as what I do. And you need to believe that with all your heart, because you have given me, you've given God, Our Lady, a voice tonight, because these are her prayers. These are prayers from heaven. This has nothing to do with me. I'm just saying yes to God. So I want to thank you very much for allowing me to be on your show and sharing your personal story also, because that's amazing and it touches my heart. And I love the fact that you were able to tell me and the viewers that.
Thank you, brother. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate you. So I'm just going to close out the show. And again, this is Richard Carlucci, founder of Catholic Audio Prayers. Make sure you please go check out his website and support the work that he's doing. It's truly admirable. And this has been episode 24 of Holy Smokes, Cigars, Catholicism, and Conversation. Let my prayer arise and thy sight is incense. And just to let the viewers know, I have an episode tomorrow night, I believe around 9 p.m., if I'm not mistaken. I have my good friend, Father Danny Santos, who is the vocations director for the Diocese of London, Ontario, and we're going to talk about vocations and how to discern and live your vocation. So,
Nice.
With that, say God bless to Richard and to everyone, and I'm going to go ahead and close out the broadcast. Good night, everyone, and God bless.
Good night, guys.